to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host this week, Tiara.
Hello.
All right, guys, we're back. We're going to talk about the third season of You, my favorite show ever. I love this show. So Tiara and I are huge fans of one Joe Goldberg and his adventures. So we're going to just quickly give a spoiler talk recap of our thoughts on season 3.
Are we talking spoilers?
Oh, yeah, of course. Look, if you haven't watched season 3 of You on Netflix, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, why are you listening to this? Pause and then go watch it.
Yeah, you got a lot of catching up to do. So this season continues the story of Joe Goldberg and his fraught relationship with Love Quinn, who is pregnant with his child in their new suburban home that they moved to at the end of season 2. They decided to get married because she revealed right before he was about to straight kill her that she was pregnant. So he was like, all right, that seems like a bad idea to kill a pregnant woman. So I'm gonna marry this girl. Okay.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. I mean, Jay, what you doing? I mean, like, you are you gonna take that? Would you do that too?
I'm not gonna be murdering people in the basement of a bookstore, but that's me. Like, I'm crazy. I'm crazy like that. So this is obviously starring Penn Badgley and Victoria Pedretti. Look, I think this show season 1 started out as, it was a Lifetime show, right? A lot of people may not know that, but it was a show on Lifetime originally. It did not do particularly well. I don't know that series really do that well on Lifetime. Like,
some do. I'm actually surprised that this didn't do well on Lifetime, because Lifetime is all about like the creepy
battering of
stuff.
Women. It's always
I mean,
it kind of is. It's strange. But then it eventually made it to Netflix, where more eyes got on it and people were like, yo, this show is really good. And like 3 years after the first season came out, they were like, it got to Netflix and they were like, we're going to make a second season because people loved it so much. But I think this third season, is the best season.
Agreed.
I think it does more to be topical about like what's going on like in America in a lot of ways. It's funnier than the other seasons in like a sort of a dark comedy sort of way. And this season, like, you really get to root for Joe a lot more than in the previous seasons, though I always did. But like, he's less of a full-on creep in this season as he has been in the previous 2 seasons. What are your thoughts?
I also think this was like the best season. So for all the Gossip Girl fans, from the first Gossip Girl series, if you haven't watched the show, you should, because it's basically Penn Badgley playing Dan Humphrey again, but just creepier and murderous. Victoria Pedretti, she knows how to play a tortured soul so well. She's in the Haunting series. I don't know if you watched those on Netflix, the Bly Manor, Hill House. She's in those, and she just
absolutely not.
They're not really scary.
Okay, stop it. Anyway,
they're not scary. I mean, they are
haunted houses. Is it a haunted house?
I mean, yeah, they're dead people and ghosts and kids.
Say no more. Kids. I'm done. I'm not watching that.
But she plays someone who has issues in both of those shows.
Right.
And she, again, in this series, she does it again, and I think she is quickly becoming one of my favorite people to look out for when there's a new show out. I loved how the show delved into like the ridiculousness of, I don't even know if I would call it like hyper liberalism, but like the overcorrecting of trying to not seem like you're part of the mainstream, like saying I'm an unteacher or I'm an unschool. I'm like, so you're raising your kid to be dumb. That's all I heard.
Yeah. Like, but that's the topical stuff I'm talking about, right? Like, they deal with like the unteaching and anti-vaxxers and like all of these very extremely, like, the extreme parts of the like rich white left. Which is really interesting to watch them deal with this. And it's like, this show is way more topical than it has any reason to be. Like, it could be completely vapid and just be like, yeah, people just getting murdered. Like, whatever, who cares?
So the show takes place in Maggie Linda, which is supposed to be Menlo Park up here in the Bay Area. Menlo Park is where Facebook is. It's where a lot of the rich white folks live. So it feels so just on par with the things I've seen here personally, and I couldn't help but laugh. And it's funny you mentioned the anti-vaxxer part because like that guy, I was like, yeah,
I could see it.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, like he can go. It's cool. It's cool. But I mean, but also like the growth of Joe, and also Love as well. I think is more apparent than it ever has been in any part of the series because they also deal with things like parenthood and how are you a parent to a newborn when you and your wife are crazy psycho killers and you have a new obsession and you're also trying to make your marriage work. And also your wife is, again, crazy as fuck, who will quite literally murder anyone who looks at her husband the wrong way.
Yeah. Yo, Love is a very unstable individual in this season. Like because she was introduced in the second season, and what I like about this series is every season they sort of take it up a notch, not in a ridiculous way, but like in a logical progression of why you'd want to watch it, right?
Right.
First season, he's obsessed with this woman, Guinevere Beck, and like she's just like, I'm an innocent girl and I don't know anything, and it's, like whatever. But then he moves to California from New York, and it's like, okay, here's
after
this woman
Beck.
Love. Right, after killing Beck. Oops. She deserved it. But like I don't blame Joe for any of this. This is not his fault.
Wow.
He's an innocent
none of this is fault. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. He's the hero of this series as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. We all know who the hero is, and it's Sherry.
The worst.
Sherry
She's the fucking worst person in the season. Although I will say I did grow to like her character a lot by the end. I did. But like the first season you get this sort of straight victim in Guinevere. Then you get in the second season you get Love, who turns out in the end is just as much of a psycho as Joe is. And it's like, oh shit, okay. So like they don't just recycle the same story. And then here's the third one where they're working together, but he doesn't want to be with somebody who's like him. Right? He's like, he looks down on her for like, you're just really gonna murder people? Like, what's wrong with you? Right? Like, so there's like that kind of funny thing that's going on. Yeah. So I'm very interested to see what season 4 is like. Like, how do they reinvent the wheel yet again? But you had mentioned like the parenting thing, right? Like they're parents of this newborn child. Like the show even deals with like what it's like, and yeah, of course there's like the murder aspect, right? Which is like wacky and that's just the hook for the show. But like it deals with this couple and how do they get along and keep their relationship going while being in this, while being new parents. Like again,
and going to marriage and also going to marriage counseling.
Right. Which is a very Sopranos thing. Like it's super worked. Like I was hoping they would like dig into that more. Like I thought by the end, that's where they were going to end up at, but that didn't really work out that way. But, yeah, I thought it was good. So you mentioned Sherry as your favorite character. One of my least favorite characters for at least 9 episodes. But let's talk about Sherry and talk about the other secondary characters. They were super strong in this season. Like, really
I was going to say that. Yeah. And also, so strong that I think I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them again in some capacity, especially, as Joe is going to have to eventually pay for his crimes, for his many crimes, because he is not an innocent here. Right. But I felt the character development with Sherry and the innocent young boy Theo, and even who was the guy who plays Sherry's husband, the Thor looking dude. I forgot his name. I don't know. Chad or some shit like that. He looks like a Chad.
He looks like a Chad.
But I thought Sherry was interesting because she was basically Peach from the first season.
Oh, Travis Van Winkle. It's his name. His name was Carrie.
Carrie. Okay. Yeah. I just felt like she was basically a Peach if Peach had been developed further, and was a little bit more vain.
I hated Peach too. I couldn't stand her. She got hit with that brick. I was like, yes. Get her, Joe.
Jesus.
No, she's
And
awful.
I thought it was funny how Sherry was like, when they were locked in the cage, she was like, look, we got to start thinking about the kids. Like, who out of both of us, who knows their schedules? And she's like, what's their math teacher's name? He gives them the wrong answer. She's like, no, nigga, it's science. That's the science teacher's name.
Yeah, she was actually quite good. I hated the character because she was
But
like
the
this
actress is
vapid asshole like throughout the entire series until she's kind of like forced to like put down all of her bullshit. But yeah, the actress was amazing. She was really great. What's her name? Shalita Grant. Like she was really awesome as Sherry. She was great. And look, I thought Travis Van Winkle as Carrie Conrad was great too. He was a fucking lunatic. Like he was a lunatic.
The part where he and Joe are in the woods and he pushes him by accident, I was like, "Fuck, Joe!" And then he's just like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like I take these essential amino acids or whatever. I'm good. You can't kill me.
Yeah, I'm basically unkillable. It's like, all right, you gotta realize. Yeah, because Carrie he's an obnoxious, rich white guy who's like all about like hacking the system. I take all these supplements and like I take adrenaline, and I'm like, why are you taking adrenaline?
Release your inner beast. Release your inner alpha male.
Right, yeah, he was like all about that fucking horseshit, and it was a perfect example of like that type of guy. You were just like, yep,
yeah,
like everybody knows that type of guy online or in real life, unfortunately, and it's just like that guy was like. He was completely emblematic. Like even while he's locked in that cage and dying, he's like, "Yeah, I'm down to 10% body fat." Like he couldn't stop like bragging about like complete bullshit. It was just hysterical to me. Like it was really funny. Scott Speedman is in this. He plays the dad next door whose wife gets killed early on in the series. Or in the season.
We totally forgot to mention that about how all this stuff came to
because
to
like the whole season is predicated on this woman who lives next door to them, who Joe sees through the fence at the end of season 2. Like they just hadn't cast her at the end of season 2. He sees this woman, he's like, "Oh, hello," and he's like, he completely falls for her, and she's into him, and she's like, "Oh, like I don't really fuck with my husband like that. I'm like definitely down to mess around."
Your husband who was in tech and surveillance,
right?
Yeah.
Like maybe not a good idea. But she basically just has she almost sleeps with Joe. He doesn't actually sleep with her, and Love finds out, and this woman is like a real estate person, and she's like, "Oh, I can show you this bakery to buy or whatever," and she goes in, and Love just like kirks out and kills her. And so then the whole idea is like they're trying to cover up this one murder in this like small town across the entire season. But yeah, Scott Speedman, who plays her husband, who's not satisfied with the answer that he's given about how his wife died. He's a good foil, right? Like there's part of his character that doesn't quite make sense. It didn't quite make sense until the explanation at the end of like how they wrapped everything up, and you're like, okay. Now I can see why this guy wouldn't go to the police. I got it. But I liked it. I liked the season a lot. I love the ending because like throughout the entire time you have Joe who's obsessed with this new woman who is super fine. Good Lord.
Tati Gabrielle from if anyone has watched Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, she plays Prudence in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Yeah, she plays a anti-hero, evil-ish character in that show.
Well, she is perfect in this. She is amazing.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, she's a total knockout. But I do like that this show, and I think it's because Penn Badgley is like kind of on the record as like being a pretty like socially aware guy, and I'm sure he has something to do with this. Like black women don't get killed on the show. Like if you're a black woman on the show, you're gonna survive. Like you're good.
Yeah.
Like it's just
cast me in the next season.
Yeah, hey, look,
I want to be on it.
Yeah, you'll make it. But black women don't die. It's kind of interesting.
It's funny, like when we think about like the themes of the show, and the show is also about finding new beginnings in other people, because you see, Joe trying to find a new beginning with Marianne, Tati's Gabrielle's character, and then you see Love considering something with a fucking 19-year-old kid from Stanford.
I like that kid. Dylan Arnold, great actor. I hated your character. Yo. I wanted him to die so bad.
Why?
I hated him.
He didn't do anything.
Nah, fuck him.
He had a crush.
He had a crush. All right.
And then
she almost crushed the back of his skull with a fire hydrant at the end. Like it was insane.
Because he was betrayed by his love, but also seeing how, once you crazy, you always crazy, because Love became a fucking liability, which was pretty much her the entire season. Like this season was not as much of Joe going out seeking to murder people as it was him trying to clean up Love's mess the entire time. And when she really became the liability was when it was like the swinging episode, which is why I was like, I need you to finish it because when they were having the argument downstairs,
I'm like, shut up.
I was like, girl, what you doing?
She was loud as fuck. I like how the comrades were like, nah, we hear nothing. We good. And they was like, nah, we got to kill both.
Yeah. I was like, come on, Love. Like you gotta keep your voice down, girl. And then she tried to kill Theo, and that broke my heart for the poor kid.
Yeah, he survived. Whatever.
Yeah, he survived, but he's probably that boy is going to be scarred for life. He's going to see a pretty girl and be like, I don't trust it.
Nah, look, that's fine. He's a little trout mouth heathen. Like he's trying to ruin people's marriages. Fuck him. No, but look, I thought Dylan Arnold was great. Like that's the thing is, any of my harsh feelings towards any of these characters is a testament to how good the actors were and how well the characters were written. Like, because everyone is generally ridiculous. Like they are, but they're ridiculous in a way of like, yeah, I could see how rich people would act like that. Like 100%, I buy it. Right?
They act like rich people who are super far to the left, but they clearly have way too much time on their hands. I mean, you have Sherry, who was a mommy blogger with a secret sex blog, who ends up capitalizing off of the Love murder scandal. Spoiler alert: Love dies. Joe fakes his death, and Love gets all of the blame for everything. And Sherry, being the badass bitch she is, her and her husband start going to TED Talks.
Yeah, they wrote a book. And they built a cage, the same one they got locked in, of like, this is how you can hack your marriage to fix your marriage. This shit was a perfect ending, because it's exactly what those type of people would do. Is they would be much more apt to use that experience of not like, this was traumatic and we want to just stay out of the limelight. Like, no, let's use this to make money. And it's and they got to do that. And it was like, whatever, it's fine. But the other thing I want to talk about is, you're right. Like the season focused on Joe cleaning up Love's mess. And that's a big part of like the impetus of like their like fractured relationship. The other thing that I thought was really interesting is that this season was they also gave Love an inner monologue that we could hear, which was dope because like she had that revelation at the end of the season that she wasn't the problem, that her husband was the problem, which was exactly the monologue that we heard of Joe discovering that he wasn't the problem, that his wife was the problem, right? So it like kind of mirrored how they both saw each other as the ultimate problem and why their relationship was broken, not themselves. Which was interesting.
The narcissism.
Right. The massive narcissism of it all. And then the thing I love the most is I love a spy versus spy situation. In this case, a killer versus killer situation. And that last episode of her being like, so, I gave you this to paralyze you. And then like Joe's like, yeah, no, I noticed that you were growing wolfsbane in the garden. Fuck out of here. So I looked that shit up. I took some adrenaline from crazy dude next door. So I'm good. And I'm using that to set your ass up. Like I love the double and triple crosses at the end. I was like, this is like Joe was in his bag in the last episode. It was so good. I was like, yes. That's
he really
exactly
was. And I was so sad to see Love die. Like I was sad.
I was actually, yeah.
Because homegirl. We also found out, get confirmation that she killed her first husband.
Yes, which I thought was important. That was great.
And not only did she kill her first husband, but her mother knew, or at least her mother suspected.
Right.
And was ultimately right. And I thought that was interesting. And if there's one thing I would have loved to see more of the show was more of Saffron Burrows, shout out to Deep Blue Sea, and her interactions with
Yo, is
Love.
that the main woman from Deep Blue Sea?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know that. Yo, that's wild. Oh my.
Yeah, she looks amazing.
Oh, she was Victoria Hand on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well?
Yeah.
That's right, she was. Holy shit. Wow. Wow, okay.
You see what happens when white women mind their business? They age well. Because she looks great.
Yo, she's been in mad old movies, yo.
She has lines, and she looks like she's been through something. So I figure that, you know, she's around your type.
She's 40 years old. But yeah, I thought she was really good. I liked her whole, like, she had that breakdown and then like stole their baby for a minute and burned a winery down. Yeah, she was wild.
I thought she was going to get murked. I thought Love was going to kill her. I was like, yo.
Yeah, I
was like, do you know how crazy your daughter is? But I'm like, oh no, you do know how crazy your daughter is.
Yeah, don't do that.
But do you know how crazy her husband is?
Yeah. But I thought she was great. I would love to have seen more of her. Obviously, I would assume her story is done.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Joe escapes to France by the end. So it'll be interesting if they make it a globe hopping show now, right? Because he can't go back to the US. That story is too big.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I was reading an interview with the EPs, and he said that the show will take place in France, and he's going to try to find Marianne. Because we saw we can assume Marianne went to Paris because she was like, if I get custody of my daughter from my asshole ex, who Joe killed.
Yeah, he straight up murdered that dude. It wasn't even plan.
I don't even think we've seen Joe get that out of control with someone in public, because it was like he was about 2 seconds away from getting caught. So that was a little reckless on Joe's part. And then, you know, of course, Love, being crazy, was about to murk Marianne until her daughter came in, and then Love was like, you know, Joe, yeah, that murder, that was him.
Yeah, she just straight said that shit. So the question is, when he eventually sees Marianne, and I'm sure that will happen, does she believe Love, or does she think like, oh no, not my innocent Joe, or does she, like the black woman in season 1, be like, yeah, there's something about Joe that's a little
I don't
off.
see how she doesn't. I don't see how she couldn't believe Love because of the things that Joe was saying to her.
Right.
Like, I mean, Joe admitted to Marianne that he killed his mom's abuser.
Right.
And then after the guy was found, like, wasn't Joe on some, well, hey, look, it's actually working out in your favor because you get custody.
Right, like a little too quick. Not like, really? Oh my god! Like he was like, no, that's great.
I'm so sorry.
Great news.
Yeah, like it's looking up for you, and it's just like, that's not the response that you have. The response that you would have is like, oh my god, I'm sorry. I know it's been tough. How is your daughter doing?
Yeah, he was like, don't care.
And also, it's interesting because is he going to try to be a family with this woman after he left his son behind? Thankfully he did, because that child has no business being raised around Joe.
Yeah. I'm glad they ended that storyline. Look, just give it to this lovely gay couple. Like, it's fine. Like, those two guys. I don't like
kids in storylines.
Yeah, like that little boy don't need to be anywhere near you murderous psychos. Like, he doesn't. I don't need Joe wearing a baby Bjorn stabbing somebody in the middle of the night. Like, I don't need that. Like, it's odd. But yeah, that's a good question. Is like, where does that go? But again, that is reinventing the wheel again, is continuing that relationship. And like, does she try to dime him out? Does he not? Like, he not going to kill her because she a black woman, so she get to live? Or, you know, like, I don't know. Yeah. So it's super interesting.
Or does she like accept that part of him and is just like, look, just don't be killing people. Just don't be killing niggas around here. I don't know.
Like, I mean, that could be a thing, right? Like, just don't kill people and we're fine. And then like Joe's got to try to fight that urge all season. Right?
And or will she do something to disappoint him and then he finds another obsession? Because there's another theme around here, because the other theme on the show is obviously mommy issues. We just talked about Love and her mom, but also Joe and his revelations about the impact his mother and the teacher he was having flashbacks to had on him, where he was like, it's my mommy issues. That's why I'm having these troubles.
Right. And he said it openly, which was kind of dope.
Yeah. And then we found out he had a brother. His mom ended up having another son. So
that feels very Dexter-ish. I want to know what
it does, doesn't it? That's what I thought.
I want to hear what happened to that brother. Because I bet there's more to that story.
And they don't drop details, like just to drop details. Like there's a reason why they're doing that. It wouldn't surprise me if we see more of Joe's mom, or is she dead? I can't remember if she's dead or not. But I'm pretty sure we didn't hear anything about the brother before this season. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see an older version of that.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love it. Like if he has a brother who was like equally as fucked up. Oh, come on.
I hope that his brother is equally fucked up, but is like law enforcement.
Ooh, I like that. And
then he's like hunting, and then he's like this Joe character, and then he found out that they're brothers, and then you find out that one brother that they're both equally fucked up. Like his brother's like, I'm so good at my job because I'm so fucked up, and I'm coming after you.
Oh, I kind of like that. See, yeah, look, I'm all in. I'm all in for season 4. So yes, season 4 has already been greenlit. Can't wait. I think
how many
Penn
seasons
Badgley.
Do you think this has?
I would say at least another 2 seasons to end it like on a super high note. That I think 2-3 seasons max. But if it starts to like wane, you gotta end it on a high note.
What do you think is the right ending for Joe?
I feel like Joe has to get. I think the easy thing to say is that Joe dies, like he gets executed or something, right? He gets caught and he executed. But I think that an equally more interesting ending for him would be a huge trial where you bring back all of these people who survived and everything. And you have to account for all of the good deeds he's done, right? And you would have all of these character witnesses of like the kid that he saves in the first season, right? The kid that he saves in the second season. Right. Like he kills people, but most of them like, cause he's like a psycho obsessed guy, but he equally does like hurt people who are hurting other people. What's that?
Would you call it, do you think Joe is a bad guy?
Yes. He's a fucking lunatic, but he's more of an anti-hero than he is a villain. Right. That's the thing is he's more of an anti-hero than a villain because look, his whole thing with Marianne, like, yeah, he's obsessed with her and like in a very unacceptable way, but he kills her ex because that ex was like a drug addict pretending to be, pretending to like not be on drugs, who was like lying and manipulating to keep their daughter, who didn't give a shit about their daughter and like,
right. He was neglecting her. Yeah.
Right. So it's, I mean, he didn't kill Natalie. Natalie was perfectly nice, housefrau, but
he's capable of friendships, which is interesting.
He is. Like he really bonded with the dudes in the woods. He actually did, like legitimately. Like, so I feel like it would be kind of cool to have a big trial where you don't know where it's gonna fall either way.
Yeah.
I think that would be interesting.
The EPs did say that for season 4, like Joe's past, like Beck and them are going to come back to haunt him. So yeah, whatever that means.
Oh, I hope it's the brother. I think that's a good point. That's what I want now.
Yeah.
All right. That is it for our spoiler talk for season 3 for you. We'll be back for season 4 whenever that comes out, probably 2 years from now.
Oh no, I hope it comes out next year. I can't look. They got COVID protocols. Make it work.
Yeah. Look, I'm all in. This is my favorite trash TV. Like top tier trash TV for me.
Put Penn Badgley in more things, please.
Yeah, I think that guy should play Cyclops, but that's just me. I think he'd be a good Cyclops. I could see it.
Yeah, a woke one.
Yeah, just like optic blasting people, being like, "Hello, you." Like, 'cause he's a crazy person. I can totally see that guy in a love triangle with Wolverine and Jean Grey, 100%. So yes, that guy.
And he's from Baltimore. Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah, yes, that's right. And that guy apparently is a big fan of D'Angelo. Like he apparently.
I believe it.
Yeah, like he's like
I know
apparently like he's like a super cool like music guy. Like that's what he's all about. So
yeah,
who doesn't like that guy?
That
man?
makes that tracks with him. He's like a super like woke ass white nigga.
Yeah, he is. All right, that's it for us. We will see you guys next time on Coming Distractions.